Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name's Emma LaFave, and today I am trying something that I saw on Instagram that made me go wow and kind of want to try on my own. We're gonna do something called underpainting, and this is something I saw from a creator called Danny Drawing, I think is his Instagram and his channel. I will put all of his socials down below. He does something called underpainting, where he is painting the complementary or contrasting color shadow of an object first and then layering over top. You'll see what I'm talking about. But I saw it and I was like, that is a very interesting approach to this, and it's something I have never done before, so I just had to try it. So let's jump into the video and get started. Okay friends, so today, like I said, we are gonna be trying out this thing called underpainting. Now, I will say I have never studied art. I am a self-taught artist. I've learned from others. So I'm sure this is a technique that is well known if you have gone to art school or you know a little bit more about painting, all that stuff. But this is something that is brand new to me. And I will say I did see this on Instagram by a creator, Danny Drawing, I think it is. I'm going to put his socials down below for his Instagram, and he has a YouTube channel, because this concept of underpainting is so new to me, but is so intriguing, and I just had to try it. So basically, the way he explains it is underpainting is painting in your shadows first, and then you put your lighter layer of what the actual color of the object is on top. So for example, he painted a banana purple, and then he painted over top yellow. And so putting in those purple layers for shadows, if you guys know your color theory a bit, purple and yellow are contrasting colors. You mix them evenly together, you get a brown, which you would use for your shadows anyway. So it really creates this really cool shadowy look that, in my opinion, is very stylized, which I absolutely love. It's a bit different than just using, black to create shadows. And it's just a really cool way of doing things. So I really wanted to try this today. Make sure you check out his channel. He explains it a little bit better. He has more videos on it that will explain it to you a bit better, but I just had to try this. Okay, so he had done a banana and I think an apple. I think he did a pineapple. And I wanted to try a pumpkin because it's fall and I love pumpkins. And the way we're going to do this, what you're trying to achieve is you're trying to put in your shadows first. Now, usually when I paint a pumpkin, I paint it orange, like a light wash of orange, and then I start creating darker oranges, and then I kind of move my way into a brown to create the shadows. Now, orange's contrasting color is blue. Contrasting colors, if you guys have seen many of my videos, know a little bit of color theory, you know that contrasting or complementary colors are the colors that sit directly across from each other on the color wheel. So blue and orange are contrasting or complementary colors. Mixing those together evenly, you will get a brown. If you mix a small amount of, say, orange to blue, you're going to get a nice muted blue. Or if you mix a small amount of blue to orange, you're going to get a nice muted orange. And I actually, in my book, have talked about using that as shadow colors. So I like to create shadows using complementary colors rather than using black. So this is kind of the same thing, but with this technique, you are painting in the shadows first using that complementary color, and then you're painting the color over top. So I'm dying to see how this is gonna go. I painted one little pumpkin up here. I'm gonna do a second one down here because I wanna show you how I would do it, and then we're gonna try the underpainting, just because I'm curious to see the difference. So I'm just gonna start, and I decided to draw this one with you on camera so you could see it a little bit better. I start by drawing an oval, and one thing I love about drawing pumpkins is that they don't have to be perfect. So draw an oval, and then you're gonna go slightly above this oval, do another kind of like C curve, and then come up slightly. Don't make it parallel to that one, and you want it to finish a little bit above this oval. And then another one over here, like that. And then coming up here, it doesn't even have to connect anything yet. Finishing again above and above. And it can be kind of, wonky and crooked. I love when pumpkins have that kind of bumpy look to them. Then I'm just going to draw a stem here, and then I'm just going to do two little lumps at the back. I'm just going to make this one a little bit darker so you guys can see it better. Okay, I think they look better when there's lumps and bumps So don't worry about it being perfect. Okay, so here we have our 2 pumpkins. So I'm just gonna erase it just a little bit so it's a bit lighter. And I'm gonna show you how I draw the pumpkin first, or paint the pumpkin first, and then we will try the underpainting. So typically what I do, and I want to say that there's no right or wrong way. This is a new technique. It's just a different way of doing things. Will I change my mind? I have no idea because I have not done this before, so I don't know. But I really am intrigued by the way this could work. So this is what I do when I'm creating my pumpkin. So I will start by creating a light wash with orange over the whole pumpkin. Now in watercolor, we always work light to dark because it's harder to, lift colors to make them lighter than it is to add shadows. So I always go the lightest value that I want my highlights to be first. Okay, so we have our light value of our orange. This is going to be our lightest value. All right, then I'm going to take a bit more on my brush, and I like to go around these little kind of lines because this is where the shadows would be. Now these are kind of a little bit sharper than I'd like, so I'm just going to kind of move that pigment around just so it's not like just lines everywhere, because I want a little bit of highlight in the center of these oval shapes, but not like a ton. Okay, so I might wash off my brush a bit, dry it, and then just kind of blend it out a bit just so it's not so harsh of a highlight. Like that. And then what I typically do is go back in with a brown. So I'm going to take some maybe burnt sienna here, and I would add my shadows at the bottom and the top of my pumpkin. I've done many pumpkin tutorials. This is usually what I do. I'll go around a little bit. And this is all basically done wet on wet. And if I feel like it needs a bit more shading, I would go back in after and add some more to it. Like another layer. I'd wait for it to dry. It's a little bit too brown at the back. A little bit of that highlight there, so I'm just lifting a little bit. I'm gonna grab a little bit of orange. There we go. Okay, and I would just probably do another layer in a little bit, just kind of deepening these shadows. Okay, and I'm gonna leave the stem to do its thing. Okay, so now let's try the underpainting. We'll come back to this one and deepen it and make it a little bit more detailed, but I want to try this underpainting. Okay, here's one thing that you have to know. You have to know a little bit about color theory. I really suggest you watch my mixing muted colors because there is a tricky thing about blue and orange. Now, blue and orange, like I said, if you mix them evenly, you should be getting a brown. But as we know, there are different versions or different hues of blue and orange. Some oranges are a little bit more on the yellow side. Some of the blues are a bit more on the green side. And the way you want to get brown, I find the best mix is a warm blue, like ultramarine, like this, opposed to like a turquoise. Is this turquoise? Yeah. Which is a little bit brighter and it just has a bit of green in it. It has a bit more yellow to it, which will turn your mixture, that will turn your mixture green. Okay, so I'll just show you quickly the difference of the mix. So let's get some ultramarine here and some of our orange, and you get a brown, right? But if you mix the turquoise with orange, and this is a pretty dark orange, you might get green. See that? This one has a bit more of a green tint to it. Now, if it was a brighter orange, like a more yellowy orange, you would definitely get green. So you have to be careful. So my favorite mixture to get a nice brown with blue and orange is like a nice dark orange, like this one. I believe this is called transparent orange. It's from the Paul Rubens tubes. Opposed to the Winsor Newton Cadmium orange, which is a bit more yellowy. It's not the most ideal. I would add a little bit of red to that just to make it a bit of a darker orange. And then ultramarine. So we're going to do the underpainting with ultramarine and see how this goes. Okay, so I'm just going to start by taking a light wash And I'm just going to start by applying it over most of the pumpkin. I am going to leave some white areas for like some true orange to kind of shine through. So I'm just going with a light wash, decent amount of water, like that. And I'm going to wash off my brush, dry it a bit, and I'm just going to kind of blend out these lines so they're not like a harsh shadow. Okay, so I am adding water to these center areas, so it has a tiny tint of blue to it. Okay, it's not completely white, but it's like the absolute lightest value of blue. And I want it all to be fairly wet so I can keep adding in shadows. Okay. Same kind of thing we did with that. All right, now I'm going to add a bit more intense blue of this ultramarine at the top and the bottom, kind of like we did with our first layer of the orange, going around the sides. Like that. And we don't want it to be too structured, so I'm just going to blend that out. I washed off my brush, dried it a little bit. Or too sharp, not structured. Sharp is what I'm trying to say. Like that. And then I'm just going to take more blue, so like pretty dark. And I'm going to use it like how we kind of use the brown. So it's going to be pretty dark. I'm really hoping this works. So it's kind of like we're doing a monochrome painting of this pumpkin. Okay, and then I'm going to wash off my brush, dry it a bit, and I'm just going to blend out some of these shadows. I don't want them to be too sharp. Just wash off my brush, blend it out. Now, I've heard of the term underpainting in the sense of like an oil painting, you know, when someone paints a canvas all like burnt sienna first before they go over it, and I never really understood why. I think it's a little different than this because I feel like this is like to create purposeful shadows just because watercolor is transparent. But just to have the toned paper underneath is an interesting concept. So I might try this a little bit more with other things. So I don't know. Okay, so we have our shadows. I'm hoping they're placed. I mean, we can always add more shadows in after, but I think that's good for now. Now we want this to completely dry before we go back in and do our orange. So while that's drying, I'm just going to go back to our orange one here, which looks pretty good, and just add a little bit more, you know, brightness to it, maybe a little bit more shadow. So I'm just going to take my orange and see how it's pretty, what's it called? Sharp. I'm just washing off my brush, blending it out, just so you're getting more of a blend rather than a sharp edge. Okay, and I'm adding orange. I'm not even adding brown. Just I want it to be a little bit more vibrant. I'll probably add a little bit more orange in after. Just want it to stand out a bit more. Okay, and a little bit at the top too. That. Okay. I love painting pumpkins. I could do this all day. Okay. Now I'm going to take a little bit of our burnt sienna again. Just add in some deeper shadows. Like so. Okay, so there we go. There is our orange pumpkin. Let's make sure that our blue is fully dry before we continue. Okay, now let's see how this works. So basically I'm just going to be taking the orange here, which this orange is called transparent orange. It's actually quite transparent. It's not as opaque as some of the other oranges I've had, like cadmium orange. So you might want to take that into consideration. But now I'm just going to start applying a light wash of orange over the whole pumpkin. I'm really hoping this works out. So you are going to see this tint of blue shadow underneath, right? You want the layer to kind of like give the illusion of this brown shadow, but at the same time, it's going to have that little tint of blue, which is a stylistic kind of thing. And I think I like it. Okay, I think it looks pretty cool. I think I might lift some of the orange for highlights. Like immediately, it's pretty cool. I don't know if it's more realistic or necessarily better, but it's an interesting way of doing it. Okay, let me just wash and dry off my brush. I'm just gonna lift a little bit. I don't know if this is the best paper to do this on. Okay, now I'm gonna go back in with my orange, a little bit darker orange, kind of like what we did here. I'm gonna go over that shadow area to deepen it. I think it looks kind of a little bit more realistic. I don't know, you guys are gonna have to let me know in the comments what you think. Because usually if I were to mix my own brown anyway, I would be mixing this orange and blue combination. So it's kind of the same, and because watercolor is transparent, you're doing the same kind of thing, but you're just seeing a little bit more of that blue because it's not fully mixed. Also, what I need to take into consideration is ultramarine tends to be more granulating, so it might give us more texture with the ultramarine, which either you like or you don't like. But see how these shadows are darker as opposed to just using brown? I mean, maybe if I used the blue and orange mixture for that, I don't know. Maybe I should try that next time too. I think I'm going to take a little bit more of the blue to deepen the shadows. Because I like it. Like, shadows have that kind of bluish tint to it. So I almost like this better, that you can see a little bit of that blue instead of just like a brown. You know what I mean? I kind of like this. Just gonna blend it out. What if I use the blue and orange mixture for the brown over here? See, this just, like when you mix it together beforehand, it just looks like brown. But this, you get the subtle hint of blue, is what I really like. It's different, right? See, it's brown, but it doesn't have that blue undertone. So really, it's kind of up to you and the style you're going for. I think this is a really cool way of doing it. And I might try and do this a bit more often. We still have to do the stem, so I'm not completely done yet, but you see the difference? I don't know. This kind of looks a little bit more muddy too. This is a bit more brighter. I don't know. Let me do one more layer. I feel like it looks, because of the blue, again, the blue is very granulating. It's different than just using like a regular brown. I'm just going to try and brighten up some of these orange areas. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. Just kind of like where the highlight would be, because I feel like we're losing a little bit of that brightness because of the blue. It is also so hot in my office today that everything is drying at warp speed here. So we can make it a little bit brighter. I don't know. I don't know which one I like better. Also, it's a little bit tricky because, like I said, the granulating, the blue is granulating, and that kind of adds a little bit more separation. So it's, again, very a stylistic choice. I do urge you to go look at Danny Drawing's YouTube channel, because he does do an apple and a banana that, because those colors aren't necessarily granulating underneath, it does look a little different. I will say I did try on a scrap piece of paper the apple. This one, you can obviously tell there's blue underneath. I really love the way this looks. And then the banana, I did do purple underneath. So I think for kind of like more realistic still life drawing or watercolor paintings, this method is really cool. So you're gonna have to let me know in the comments what you think. I'm kind of addicted to it just because I feel like it's such a cool outcome, what you get with it. So I don't know. I might just try to do this more often. I'm just gonna do a little blue stem there. And then I'll do our little brown mixture here for this one. But you'll have to let me know what you guys think, because I think this is really cool. I also love learning new ways of doing things. I think it's so much fun to just keep learning and just trying new things. So that's that. Okay, so the stem is brown, so I'm not going to put orange over it, but I'm going to put our orange mixture of the blue and the brown. And I did the blue as the shadow just because I want it to be the same as the rest of the pumpkin. Might be a little bit too dark. I don't know. Probably should have left a little bit of space or a little bit of highlight. And then here, just darkening it. Still looks pretty cool though. Here, let's just lift a little bit for a highlight. Okay. And there we go. There is the difference. Again, this is not going to be the same thing with every color because the blue is a granulating color, but I think this method is really cool. I think one thing I would change is leaving more white space for the highlight here. I think I just went too dark. But this is something to practice, and I think I really enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think below. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on all my other platforms for tons more content. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.